Yeah, so let's just start. Again, for those that don't know me, I'm Carlos Chacon. I am founder and inventor of Niastem and currently the CTO of the company. And yeah, I wanted to address your questions, as there's always many things that we cannot solve through our customer support. Sometimes there are difficult questions. Sometimes it comes through different channels. So with making such a webinar will be a good chance for people to ask live, but also to address most of the commonly asked questions that we still don't have on our help center. But I want to encourage you to go to the help center. We have lots of different answers. So I think we have at the moment more than 60, 70 answers. And we also have it in different languages. So now we support French, Spanish, German, and English. Yes, I will be speaking English. I think you all realize that. But I do understand there are a lot of German customers. So I hope you can bear with me with that. Okay, so let's start with the actual questions. This is a very common question I get from people when I talk to them. For example, in our office, there are a lot of customers also around us, but we hear very frequently is, what does the hair predictor tells me? What does it tell me? So the hair predictor is basically on our app. And of course, it's a new version of the app. So if anyone sees something different on the app, please do update immediately, because that app, the old app, does not support anymore some of the new features and it will create trouble. So in our app, you will see that on the home screen, you will always see this hair follicle here that you can see in black. And then the idea is that it grows, right? Because we have the data showing that actually our technology can increase the hair density, so they can increase also the thickness. Therefore, it's an effective solution against pattern baldness. So what it tells you here is basically based on this data. And this data is publicly available. So we have recently published our pilot study that we did around 2022. And if you are one of the early customers that backed us up in Indiegogo, or one of the more recent customers, you have probably come across our scientific evidence, which I think is very strong at the moment, especially considering that we're a small startup. And I will talk about that in a bit. But we're technically a group of 5 to 10 people. It depends how many students we have, but we're a very small company. And we are based in Germany, in Cologne. Just to show you, because I think many people are not aware of this, but our pilot study, in which we have 21 men, where we showed that this technology is not only safe, but also effective in increasing hair growth. And that's what you can see in this graph. You look at hair density per centimeter square here on this axis, and this is time in months. And you can see that the hair density increases, and these asterisks just indicate that their increase is significant. So that's when you kind of make statistics, and you think if then you consider the population size and the variability, then you can say that something is actually significant. It's not only that you see the change visually in the graph, but also when you do the math, it's actually significant. We did get the cover of the journal, which is an actually big achievement if you're in the scientific community. So this art that we developed, but more importantly is that you can find all the information. So if you click on this, maybe I will do it now. I can put it on the chat box, but it's also on our website. You can find all the information. You can see all the pictures that we actually had with our testers, and you can just read it yourself. So basically what we do in the predictor is to calculate if you were in this line, and this is 0. So when you start using the device, and this is 6 months, and then we'd say, okay, every single day, if you interpolate this data to the density, how much more hair you will have based on this 21 people clinical pilot. So when it tells you here 1.5 new hair, that means that based on our data, we extrapolate. So we kind of, okay, if in average our 21, had after 30 days, assuming you do one session every day, they had 1.5% more hair based on this graph, then we're telling people this is the predicted hair increase. Does it reflect exactly what happens with you? Probably not, but it's an average, and it's an educated guess that we're making. So we want to give people information that they actually understand what could be happening over time while they are wearing the device. So every day is a session of 30 minutes, and then you would expect that after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, you name it, you will have some progress. So we do this by extrapolating our clinical evidence into just the time, and just assuming that you will behave like an average person in the 21 person group that we had. Having said that, we have also quite a lot of text. So we aim to explain what should be happening in your body when we talk about the activation of the follicles and the growth and so on. So this is what should be happening in your body from our knowledge from the basic biology, from our own R&D, but that doesn't also mean that it necessarily is happening in your scalp at that point and in that very follicle, right? We have more than 100,000 follicles on the scalp. So there is also this randomness of when this happens, but we hope that we inform people what could be happening with them. Now, do I have evidence that it's happening in you, for example, in you, Felix, or you, Silke? No, I have no evidence. It's just what we know from our research. And this is kind of a normal thing to do. Yeah, I think this explains that. And of course, the more sessions you do, the more progress you will see, because you will kind of climb on this slope and then we will predict something. What happens exactly with each person, we cannot tell unless we can quantify that. And we will come to that later. I hope this is clear, so we can go to the next slide. Let's say these are the most frequently asked questions that they don't have any priority. I just put them in a way that is easier to discuss them. A lot of people also ask us about the 180-day performance guarantee. And just to bring us all to the same page, basically, we're so confident on the technology based on our clinical evidence that it's not only this article that was showing, but also our randomized controlled trial that we are in the process of publishing, that we offer that if person does not have any positive results. The positive results are stopping hair loss, which is the most important when you're losing your hair, and then regrowth. So we see people in our trials, some of them stop completely the hair loss. Some of them also increase the hair density, and all the kind of figures and numbers that we give are based on average. So if you have a group of, in the first trial, we had 21 people. It's an average of 21. In the second one, we have 101 people, and then we have men and women. It's an average of either men or women, but an average is just the middle of all of them. That means that there will be people that are better respondents or high respondents, non people that respond less. But normally you express an average is like scientific best practices. So having said that, what is the 180 days performance guarantee? If you don't have results, that means you don't stop your hair loss or you don't regrow your hair. So either one, right? Then if you have used the device for the minimal required time, which is 6 times a week, that equals 154 days in a 180-day time frame, which is 6 months. And then you send us all these pictures through our app. That's super important, has to be through the app, because only then we can make sure that the data is collected on the right times. So if you take the pictures through the app, and there is an option of, we call it the selfie option in the app, in the lower bottom, the bottom right corner of the home screen, then you can take pictures, and it says, I just took like screenshots from our website. We need these 5 different positions of your head. Of course, the picture should be clear, same light, sharp, etc., because at the end, if you have used the device as we instructed, and you feel that you don't have any results, you can submit all your data, and then we will analyze it for you. We have for this an automated machine learning model that we're training on the daily basis with data we get. And we also have 2 independent trichologists. Trichologists are experts on hair and skin, that they also give their opinion about this. And then once we have the evaluation, we make a conclusion about the claim. Just to show you, I mean, I don't have to do this, but I want to be very transparent with what our community. You can see on this slide that at the moment, from all our customers, we have a number of total claims is 0.74%. And you can appreciate this is very low. And of those, 0.21% are approved claims. So that means that of all the customers we have, there are more than 3,000, sorry. We have a very, very small number of people that do not respond well to this approach. They still keep losing hair. We can see it, the customer can see it, and then we reimburse the money. So we have, as I said, several of these cases already. Despite it's a very small number, it just shows how committed are we to solve this problem and how we are handling these things. So whenever someone has a claim, and then we can see that he or she used the device in the right number of times, took all the pictures, has the documentation, and then we see that there is no impact, then we're more than happy to reimburse the money. And this is just some questions going around. I did apply for that. I never got an answer, or that doesn't work. This is only like a marketing smoke curtain or something like this. So this is not true. We do get all requests on the support@niastem.com, and then we do look at all of them. It takes a few days, I would say a few weeks normally, for the full analysis because we need to involve technically 5 different people. So people doing the machine learning, myself, and then the trachologist. So it takes a bit of time, but at the end, we always respond to all the claims. If there are any questions on this, remember, you can always type on the chat. The next, and I think this is really like one of the most frequently asked questions is, do you have any evidence of people using your device after 6 months? Why this comes very often? Because what is the standard and the kind of the golden rule in the hair loss space is that you do clinical tests for 6 months. This standard. Why? Because hair takes a lot of time to grow, so you cannot do it shorter. Normally, like anything you use, you decide to go for medications, for PRP, for microneedling, anything you go for, you will need to wait from 4 to 6 months to see any result. And we're talking about mainly stopping your hair loss. When we talk about regrowth, not only me, but many doctors in the field, dermatologists, hair surgeons, etc., trichologists, they agree for regrowth, you normally need from 12 to 18, 24 months because hair takes a lot of time to grow. So having said that, the standard in the field is to make 6 months. We have done 2 clinical trials, both of them 6 months, standard in the field. And we have very good data showing increasing hair density, not only on total hair density, but also on terminal hair density, so the thicker hair. And so that's the first thing to leave it clear. Now, of course, does it work when you do a trial for 12 months, 24, 36, 48? That's, of course, something that I'm super interested. Can we do it now? No, we cannot do it now. Why? Because first, it's super expensive. Second, it involves a lot of, like organization, and we're a very small company. So that for us, we have invested already a lot of money on the randomized control trial, and we have very good results from it. So in the future, we do want to do more trials, especially involving more women, to strengthen the data regarding women. But this will still take time. And time, when I mean time, I mean also money. So we need to raise more money because we're a startup. So we live basically from our sales and private investors. So we need more money to be able to organize such trials. And normally will take around 2 years. And if we're talking about maybe 100 people, we're talking about €500,000 to €2 million, depending how, where, and the small details. But this is just to give a little bit of background. Also, before answering the specific question, what are the exact results you have for 12 months? I wanted to show you also, and I'm seeing here in my second screen, just a simple comparison when you take, let's call it a similar technology, which is a device you put on your head against hair loss. So these devices are probably known for many of you. They're called low-level laser therapy, or commonly known as laser caps. So basically a helmet with red lights, you put it on, apparently you can grow hair. Because it's kind of a device in the same space, I think it's a good comparison, not to our technology. I don't want to compare ourselves to minoxidil, finasteride, dutasteride, because they are drugs. They have a totally different process of, approval, and, like the trials are totally different. They take millions and millions of euros as well. So I wanted to compare to something that's relatively close to us, and it's a device as well, which is also cosmetic use and so on and so forth. So just to give you some numbers, although you already read it on the slide, the first time that actually it was seen that laser technology can improve hair growth was in 1967. Then if you go forward more than 40 years, or let's say 40 years, then you had the first peer review trial showing that this actually works for humans. And after that 6 years, a randomized control trial. And then after 4 years, then you start having, let's say, trials in men, in women, and larger, right? The first one was with the comb, but only 10 years after the first publication, you had actually the helmet. And, fast forward to 2017, 18, then you have what is called meta-analysis, when you have enough publications from independent kind of groups that you can combine all this and say, okay, this actually works or doesn't work. Now, having this as a reference, and then I'm going through the kind of green part now, is 6 years from the first article to a randomized control trial. And this is done by multiple companies. And these companies normally tend to be bigger than the startup. The second point I wanted to highlight is around 11 years from the first article to make a study of 12 months. And there is only one, and it's not randomized control trial. So now just looking a little bit on the electrotrichogenesis, which is the use of electrical stimulation to regrow hair. This is what we do at NIOSM. We didn't invent this. We didn't discover this. This was already out in the 1990s and already in men, published in a peer-reviewed journal. So 1990 was published that electrical stimulation helps to regrow hair. This was an author called Madin. He has 2 articles, 2 years, one after the other. Then only in 2015 and to 19, there was actually data showing that this technology works in animals. So it was kind of the opposite from the low-level laser therapy, LLT. They first discovered this in animals, then they tried right, in humans around 30, 40 years later. Then it started kind of developing products and going into humans. With electroglycogenesis, it happened kind of the opposite. It started first in humans, early 80s, but the first communication was on the 90s. Then it started coming in rabbits and rats and mice, which is great. We don't want to cure baldness in animals, but it's just evidence that actually the biology works. So electrical stimulation can stimulate hair growth. And we ourselves, Niacin, we published our first pilot trial this year. Why this year? Because it takes a lot of time. As I said, we're a small team. But we published in a peer-reviewed journal. It's called the Journal of Cosmetic Dermatology. I already showed you, we got the cover. So it's a significant contribution to the field. And we already last year, end of last year, already finished the randomized controlled trial. We're currently working on the publication, but I just want to show the comparison that only in 2 years, we went from a pilot to a randomized controlled trial, which is not the standard in the field of devices and hair regeneration. So the laser devices were approved by the FDA back, early 2000s, after 2000, of course, 3 and 9, but they were approved with 20, 30 people trial. That got them the full approval. Now we have gone from idea, right, to make this as a wearable device, to test it in people. So our pilot, Journal of Cosmetic Dermatology 2025, and even the randomized control trial, which we finished last year. So it's only 2 years. For a startup of, let's say, 4 to 8 people, it's already a big achievement, in my opinion. Having said that, so we do have very few pictures from our customers, and I will explain you why. As I said, we cannot run yet another clinical trial. It's just impossible for us. Time and money, it's just impossible for us. Do I want to see the data? Yes, I want. Can we do it today? No, we cannot. So what we have to do, and we have been doing since more than 2 or 3 years, is to ask our customers or potential customers back then, just to share with us their experience, to share with us their pictures, their stories, their testimonials, etc., etc. I can tell you from top level, it's super difficult. We have a lot of people interested, but when it comes to provide pictures, like pictures can disclose some, like the face or some data, people are not comfortable doing that. So we don't actually get people sharing these things with us. Why is the reason? I don't actually know. We try to do our best to kind of encourage this, but it doesn't happen just by itself. We're working on it, but as I said, we're a small team and we are still trying to understand how to better do this. So this is just an example. You can see on the slide, 600 days of usage, and this only Niacin. That's kind of another co-founding effect of this 12 months or longer usage, is that most of the customers that we have, they actually do things in parallel. What does it mean? They use the device, but they also use minoxidil foam, or they take finasteride, or they do derma roller, or they do a massage, or they take a lot of supplements. They use different shampoos. What people normally call like the stack of things that you do for your hair loss, we call it the protocol, right? What's your protocol? Is your protocol only Niacin? In this example, yes, only Niacin, 600 days. You can see the results. But many people out there, they use different things. So they use the Niacin and something else and something else. So then it's very difficult to actually not only get the information from them, but if they're using, I don't know, at the same time, dutasterol and mesotherapy, it's very difficult for us to say what's the impact of Niacin, the Niacin wearable, and what's the impact of the other therapy or the supplements or whatever you have. So that's also very difficult for us to control. We cannot control because, of course, people have only one life. They want to do everything they can, and it's fair. So we cannot control that people only use Niacin. That's kind of another thing that our community sometimes don't really fully understand, is that while some people say, I will do it only because it's an experiment for myself, actually many people do many other things, so they cannot also share their pictures because it would be kind of not clean. And then we have the problem that people don't like to share their own pictures, and not only sharing them, but showing them on our social media, on our website. For all these things, it's a bit more complicated just to share in a picture. So this brings me to kind of an important point, is that we do want, and we are working towards getting this 12-month data, 18-month data, 24-month data, 10-year data. Eventually, we want to collect all this because we think this technology really helps, and we have the data showing that it really helps. Now we have more to collect more evidence, right? One will cost a lot of time and money. The other will cost only good community and community sharing. So we are asking, and as I said, we have these programs, we call them cashback programs. They are not new. We have them more than 2 years ago. You can find the link out here, and I can actually just paste it also on the chat box. But basically, you go to our niacin.com website, and then you write cashback programs. You will be there. I will make sure that it's properly indexed. We've been trying to migrate from one system to the other, and we have some things that have gone lost, but we're working on that. It's just a technical problem. And if you see there are 2 programs. The first one, we call it before and after program. You send us pictures before and after, and when I say after, is 3 months months, 6 months, 12, 24, you name it, then we pay you actually cash back, either 50 euros, 50 US dollars, or we give you a free set of electrodes, which is worth $90. What you have to do just to send us that to support@niosm.com, and then you can get the money, right? So this is a way we're encouraging people to do it. Of course, if you want to share, you don't want any reward, even better, but we give something to the community so that they can think and get motivated to do it. The second program is called the trichoscopy program, and it's kind of the same idea. You find a trichologist, a hair surgeon, a dermatologist close to you that has tool quantify your hair. So you put the camera, you find the place, you put it there in exactly the same position. So that's kind of tricky, but the hair professionals, they actually know how to do this. You go there, you get the report, you send us the report and the invoice. And once you send us 0 months and 3 months, we'll reimburse up to 100 US dollars or euros per visit. Then when you go to the 6 and 12 months, you send us this together, we reimburse exactly the same up to. So technically, if you're a person that are interested and you do it 0, 3, 6, and 12, and you are paying for each consultation 100 euros, you can get 400 euros from us. That easy. So you can actually pay for it. In Europe, you would pay around 60 to 120 per consultation. We can only reimburse 100. In the US, you can also find something between $80 and $150. So it's actually a very good program that technically is free for you, and you can see your progress, you can quantify it, and when you share it with us, then we have information to share. I can tell you, and this is kind of a sad thing, but I need to say, from these programs, we have had only 10 people. And as I said, we have more than 3,000 customers, more active, right? So kind of in your hands as well to help us bring in all this information. We still want to understand why people don't participate in these programs. If it's good, because you get money, you get electrodes, you get cash. I mean, we find it's good. As well, you help the community. So people that are in doubt, they don't know. So of course, we can help the community all together. So it's on us, but I would also ask you, community and you people, to help us on these things, because otherwise it's very hard for us, especially when it comes to time and money. Let me see if I have, I think I still have 2 more, and then we have questions. But if you have already questions, just type on the text box, because he will be sorting the questions and so on, so that it's a bit more organized. With this slide, I just wanted to kind of emphasize what we as NIOSM want to bring, what I want to bring as a founder of this company into the community. So we want to do things different, but it's not always easy. And this comparison just shows that, for example, big companies like Hims, Kips, so they just sell finasteride, dutasteride, like nicely packed, or companies like Laser Caps, Capillus, iGrowth, Theradome. I mean, there are a few big ones. They are actually big teams. They are people, like companies between 2,500 people. I mean, I didn't actually check them all, but they are big teams. They are international teams as well. They are not like founder, like in our case. As I said, we're a company 5 to 10 people. It depends how many students we have. So you can imagine where the students go. We are just a handful of people doing everything from engineering, software, firmware, marketing, sales, website, community management, everything. We normally tend to do this, although not often, because we have a lot of different things to do, but I also like to share some time with the community. So we try to be active on Reddit as much as we can. As I said, we cannot be there every single day responding every single thing, because the people doing that is not full-time on doing this. They have 100 things, and this part is a little bit of what they do. Normally, these big companies, they have a dermatologist doing a Q&A. They are never live. They're always like recorded with like professional recording and so on. Marketing staff doing this, very corporate communication. So we try to do a little bit more startup live. So we do live. Founder Ask Me Anything, like this one. We do the webinars. Last time I gave one more about the science behind and so on. Also I answer some questions. So we're open to the community. And I think that one of the most important is that we take all this feedback, and whenever possible, we incorporate it. I said whenever possible because voices are thousands. Sometimes they don't go in the right direction. So we need to filter this, but many things that the community are kind of bringing up, we at least discuss in the team and try to see how we can address this. Like big companies, like the ones I mentioned, Capillus, so on, they actually don't have this kind of close communication, or, I mean, you can never talk to the founder technically. So we think in that we are trying to do something different. Not easy, but we're trying to do it, and I wanted to share it with you. And this is the last slide before we go on to the questions. I just see there is one question, so probably I can spend more time on that. Unless you have more questions, please share it in the chat. Future plans of NIOSM. A lot of people ask us about that. I think it's fair question, fair, super fair. We just, after 6 years, have this first NIOSM wearable in the market. It's taken us a lot of effort, time for a small team that we are. So I want to focus on this. We are not thinking of yet another product, because we need to be focused. I want to understand better what customers customers want. We want to understand better how we can improve the product without actually changing it completely, right? Because we cannot like redo the device. Not at our stage. Again, we are a small company. We are all in almost all in one room. So it's challenging, but we're trying to do so. These are some of the things that we're doing with our R&D and engineering teams. And so I just want to list them for you to know that we still are a very innovative company, yet we need to be focused on what we are doing on this device at the moment. We're focused on hair loss as a whole. And because of that, we have been working already since some time in many different things. But of course, it takes time because we need to have concepts, ideas, tests, then be confident we can share it with customers. And then we have some customers that have tested some things of this that I'm mentioning here. Maybe you have heard of them, maybe it's new for you, but we have already customers testing all this, most of them. And then from this testing, we're trying to develop kind of the next steps, but it takes a lot of time. As I said, small team. R&D is not our strongest part in the company at the moment. I hope it will be in the future, but now not. Some of the things we're doing is hair quantification tools. So we're talking about our own proprietary machine learning algorithms that we do we have actually 3 people working on that, actually manually curating pictures, like we use public available, but we also use what the customers share with us. We also have a specialist looking into it and telling us, what the expert can tell, what the software can tell. One of these tools is already in use when actually you submit the 180-day performance guarantee claim. So we run this, is very unbiased, and then we have good results from them. The idea is to deploy this on the phone. So you can just take your phone, do like this, and then we can send you a report. Work in progress, still needs a lot of time. We also have a handheld camera. We want to send our customers a handheld camera. They can put it in their ideal position and quantify their own hair growth or hair density. We already have an API that is working, counting thickness, everything. We have already tested with users. We have tested different cameras, so we are moving into that direction, but it still takes a lot of time. We have, let's say, for testing, we can make available some of these things, but they're not ready for the market. We're also working on a bundle solution for hair loss, so we have several collaborations, ongoing, some on discussions, technically looking at scalp health, because we see that this is very, very common in our customers, that the scalp is not healthy. And without a healthy scalp, you cannot grow hair. With or without device, even with transplantation or whatever you want to do, you will never grow your hair if your body is not healthy. So we're looking into that. As I said, we're already testing. Some things work, some things we have to improve, but it's work in progress. The other one, maybe there are some rumors now on Reddit. I heard about our Gen 2. We call it Gen 2. It's the second generation of the Niacin device. For this, we are technically very, very early days. We are testing the idea how potential customers will react to it at the moment. It's more like a marketing testing. The idea is that we have R&D projects that could be combined and launch a second generation of the device. Still, it will not technically change physically, at least not much, but kind of the bundle, the kind of what we call the brain. So the hair simulation protocols might be different. And this is something that we are just working on to understand what's the appetite in the market. And from there, we will continue working on ideas. So we will need a lot of feedback from the customers, our current customers and future customers. And over time, we will develop the second generation. But this is something that will probably come even next year. It depends on the funding situation and how we develop the R&D, but we're still in the idea testing. So maybe there is some information out there. We will get back to all the customers on time, ask them for feedback, because we want to understand how we can make better the experience, the device, the usage, the results. And many of those things come from the customers. Many of other things will come from our R&D. And then this kind of combination will help us make in Gen 2. But this, the future, not the immediate, be patient. We're also working electrodes. So some people have longer hair, like I have longer hair. And some people have thinner hair, thicker hair. We have a lot of customers that might benefit from different electrode types. So we're working on that at the moment. This is a project that has taken us already more than 2 years. We're still working on it, but we're in the testing phase. So maybe soon we will have something there. And then we're going to be testing with new customers the subscription model. It's just kind of to provide a service, and then you would pay monthly instead of paying once, like at the moment we have. This will not change what our current customers have paid, or, they are still our customers. It will change like future customers. And this is a little bit more going into the growth phase of the company and how can we solve the problem best to our customers and still have viable business. Okay, this is all. And I saw that there are only 2 questions, so I will go one by one. So Alex is asking in the previous slide, the customer who used exclusively Niacin. It said he used it for 600 days, but the photos of the ride were 12 to 13 months. Where there are any other pictures in 20-month run? No. As I said, this is what the customers, and this particular customer customer nicely shared with us, but that's all we have. We have nothing else. So that's why, again, this is one of the reasons if people don't share with us, we cannot have this information. We don't know this information. So before and after are easy because it's kind of a selfie. If you want to have trichoscopy, like measuring specific density, like people do in the clinical studies, like we did in the clinical study, this is way more difficult, way more difficult and expensive and takes a lot of time. So we have at the moment, we don't have a lot. We wish we have more. If we had more and these people willing to share, are willing that we use this material in our website or our Instagram or Facebook or Reddit, be my guest. I would be more than happy, but I can tell some people share and say like, you cannot share this with anybody. So then we are in a difficult situation. So no more data there. Then Dosen Matera, the picture shown is one of the maybe 2 users that had regrowth, even though the lightening and length. Lightening, length, this is a tricky one. You can talk to any person in the hair loss community. And I don't mean customers. I mean like doctors doing transplantations, trichologists, dermatologists. I go to these meetings and every single person in this field has exactly the same problem. Making before and afters that are exactly the same is technically almost impossible because people change, color change in summer and winter. Even if you bring the people we have in our clinical trial, people in the same room with the same rope, with the same camera, with the same photographer, then you cannot have exactly the same picture. This is impossible. So you need to accept what it is. Yeah, so as I said, question that actually just goes back to everything I have explained before, so I don't want to go through it. But normally what we see that if people are very happy, they don't come to Reddit, Discord, Facebook, and Instagram to actually talk about their experience. I don't know if you have seen it. If you have seen it, please let me know who is doing this because we will be happy to talk to them. But most of the people, 90% of the people, when they're happy, they don't say anything. It's like a Google review when you go to a restaurant. If you hated the restaurant, you will go and give a bad review. But if you like the restaurant, you will not go and give a good review. Most of the people, as I said, I don't want to generalize, but you understand my point. So we see most of the people that are loud, they are unhappy with something. And as I said, of course, this works in many people, but it doesn't work in every person. This is actually normal. Even like an aspirin, some people react to an aspirin, some people don't react. You need to take more or they don't react or they are allergic. You know, like we're all different. So having people that do not respond, I think is totally fine. And it's just the nature of biology. It's just it is what it is. But normally those people are very loud, so they talk a lot, they write a lot. Why and whether and how many of the happy people are not talking, I don't know. We try to send surveys, we try to ask people, response is low. We try to communicate to them. We try to ask them, would you share your data? They say, no, I don't want to share my pictures. So it's difficult. So I think now, like if I step a little bit back, and I think my personal opinion is that negative things spread very quickly. Positive things don't so much. We are working. So I'm responsible for customer success as well, among other things in the company. We're trying to work towards a system in which we can communicate to people either through calls or interviews or forms, like a survey type of thing, that we can learn from the good experiences and then try to convince people that maybe they can share this with the community. So we now actively do it through our customer support response rate, even when people are happy and they say like, oh guys, I love what you're doing. I'm very happy and my hair has changed, different person. I love what you do. Love you, King. Love you, Carlos. Love you, etc. They don't give us a good review. Why? I don't know. So we do ask, but the response is low. So we're working on it. We want to bring all these good experiences out and that they surface or they kind of are more than the bad experiences, because people have bad experience. They had a bug, the app didn't work, it crashed. Of course, I mean, we're a small team, sometimes the app crashes. We also don't know. We need to start investigate, and then we need to fix it. We have multiple updates of the device through the over the air, which is great for a small company. And we are, we had Bluetooth problems, we had some disconnection problems, but we have fixed many of these things and we're still working on it. I think in the past we used to have many more problems. Also, for example, some devices just broke. We found out that someone used the wrong glue, but then once you found it out, there are like 100 devices in the field. So we just need to wait until they break. But normally when they break, we fix them with new devices. So we try to be very responsive, but we cannot predict what will go bad. And sometimes, for example, just to give you the last example and move on to the next question, even for not having our app in German, we got like 5 or 10 bad reviews, like 1-star review, just because it's not in German. Now it's in German, people don't change the review. Now people complain that it's not in Spanish, that it's not in French. Now, this month we'll release French and Spanish. I hope these people will remove the bad review, but then will come that is not in Chinese, that is not in Arab, that is not in Dutch. It's a difficult place to be. B2C. Will the old generation device be upgradable to the new generation? And will you offer this service on first generation users? Maybe you missed it, but I already talked about the second generation. This is a marketing experiment at the moment. We're testing different, we call them audiences, different people, LinkedIn people, customers, people on the street, etc., etc. Once we understand the interest, we'll actually understand what people actually want to have. Once we understand what they want to have and what we have in R&D, we'll create kind of a second generation, and that will come in the future. But sure, our customers, of course, you will have the first access for testing and so on. If you ask me today, what is the next generation, second generation, there is nothing written on paper, so I cannot give you more information. But of course, first generation users are welcome to test. It depends what it will be, because if it ends up being the subscription, I still don't see how an old customer will change into subscriptions. You need to start paying the subscription, and then probably you get updates. But I mean, this is something we have not discussed. It's very early days, so I wouldn't like to talk more about it. There is another question about the Gen 2. I think I will skip this one because I think it's just too early. What do you say about the negative reports? I just spent, I think, 5 minutes talking about it. Like any other thing in life, this, I'm sure, doesn't work for every single person. I showed already, maybe if this is then sliced in the videos, I showed you already less than 1% of all our customers, more than 3,000 customers, more than that. I cannot disclose figures, but more than that. Only less than 1% actually claim that it doesn't work. So for the other ones, either they're happy, it works, or they don't claim it, right? So our KPI is how many customers request the reimbursement. That means that actually doesn't work for them. Less than 1%, I think is pretty good. So are those 1% the ones talking on Reddit, Discord, Facebook or so? I don't know. I think so, and we cannot do anything. We try to deal with these cases one-on-one. Like I even myself reply to a lot of messages when I have time, and I take kind of very seriously this. But we also have people that, I will give a simple example. They order electrodes on the website. It went to a country where the customs became very, very picky. They stopped the package. We cannot do anything. We send all the documentation. The package is 1-2 weeks in customs stock. This customer goes to Instagram, Discord, Reddit, Facebook, you name it, like everywhere, and comments in every single post or picture saying that we're a scam, just because his device or his package got stuck in customs. So I don't know when people do this. I think it hurts us a lot. But if the device doesn't work for you and you have used the device, because we have people that say, it didn't work for me. And then when you look at the data, because we have the logs, right? So we have the record of your calendar, and then we can tell you like, oh, Felix, you actually didn't use the device, so how can you claim it doesn't work? Of course, if you take minoxidil and it doesn't work, it's different than if you don't take minoxidil and you complain it doesn't work. So you need to use the device to actually get the benefit. And when people use it, we see good results. As I said, less than 1% of people, actually 0.7% of people even claiming this. Why the others are not talking, I don't know. I actually don't know. If you have any ideas how to improve this, I would be more than happy to hear from them. We are present. Our official channel is support@niasem.com. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, you want to talk to me directly, you can write please contact Carlos. When I have time, I will look at it. Otherwise, Reddit is our official kind of community It's a managed community of customers and potential customers. We are not active in Discord. We left Discord many months ago, and we actually don't check it. So this is like an independent community. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah. So I think that's what I can say about that. I think I went through all the questions except the ones that are asking over and over again about the Gen 1 or 2, which, as I said, we don't have enough information at the moment. I see that it's already a little bit after 8. So if there are no further questions, like last burning question, I would be happy to take. If there are not, we will in any case have this webinar. At least we will try to do as soon as possible, as I said, on YouTube, and maybe have short videos with some of the most important questions. And yeah, as I said, just reach out to us. Support@niasem is the right way to communicate to us. Reddit, we check it at least, I think, once a day or 2 times every week. And if we are a bit slow, just apologies. We're a small team. We try to do everything, and I hope this webinar was useful. And if there is more demand for more webinars, I would be more than happy. We can talk about the science. We can talk about many different things about the business, something private. Unfortunately, we cannot share these things due to shareholders' restrictions. Nor I think it's important for our customers to know about business details. But about the science, the medical side, collaborations, etc., I would be happy to share more of my time. Thanks for attending, and I hope it was was useful for you. Have a good evening, and thank you very much. Bye bye.